Hello, and welcome to the BCP Live, a presentation of Bryan County Patriot. My name is Joey McWilliams, and I want to say thank you very much for watching this broadcast today. We've assembled a special group of guests as we're going through challenging times in our county, our state, and our nation. And these people, I believe, are going to help us be able to navigate our way through it. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over now to our special guest host today, Oklahoma State Senator David Bullard.
Thank you, Joey. And thank everybody for joining in and watching. I know that we're living in some unprecedented times right now, and that's kind of the point of what we're wanting to discuss is get you the best information up to date. And so we've brought in professionals from all around, including your legislators, to try and find out what we're doing, what's going on, and then talk to you a little bit about the end of it. We do have on the phone right now United States Senator James Lankford. And he has graciously agreed to come on in his busy schedule and talk to you guys about what's going on the federal level. And Senator Lankford, you will have the floor, sir.
Thanks, sir. Glad to be able to be with you, to be able to help answer some questions. We've got a lot of issues that are out there right
now. Go ahead and, Senator, if you would explain to us the CARES Act and some provisions that to help the businesses. We're very thankful for the way that you guys passed that because, as I've heard other people say, you kind of put your money where your mouth is on that CARES Act because you've done a great job with that. Can you explain that to them?
Yeah, several things that are in it that are really important that are different. One is there will be a check coming to every American who makes $75,000 or less. If you make more than that, it starts phasing out a little bit at a time as you go up. So let's say a married couple making $150,000 between the two of them would get two checks, but by the time they get to $200,000 of income, they don't get one at all. Those would be direct deposit. If you got a refund, direct deposit last year, or you've already got one this year on your taxes, they've got your banking information. If you're on Social Security or disability or veterans disability, they have your direct deposit information. They'll send it out. For everyone else, by next week, the IRS will have a link on their website just at irs.gov. Where you'll be able to go in and say, here's my direct deposit information. If they don't ever get that, they'll just mail you a check. But the direct deposit will be faster than the checks going out. And those will be done in about 2.5 weeks. All that will start going out. That's one big piece to try to help the stopgap. The second big piece people need to know about is the Small Business Administration lending process. This is entirely new. We didn't want a bunch of folks to have to get to the unemployment office because we knew it would be jammed up. There's over 6 million people applied for unemployment last week, and everyone will tell you if they've called the unemployment office lately, they can't handle the processing, and it's way behind and very, very slow right now just because there's so many people applying. So the target for us was to be able to keep people connected to their job. So for every business with 500 employees or less, whether it's a faith-based nonprofit, a nonprofit, a for-profit business, doesn't matter if it's a restaurant or a church, doesn't matter. If it's a business of 500 people or less, they can apply for this starting tomorrow at any bank or any credit union. That application goes in and it will pay the salary of their staff for the next 2 months. So it pays the salary, pays the health benefits, it pays for retirement. If you normally pay for retirement benefits, it'll help pay for utilities and help pay some of the lease costs of your business as well for the next 2 months. So that's designed to be able to help us get through this and to help employees and employers stay connected to each other so that businesses can reopen, hopefully when we get on the other side of this summer. So that's the big piece. It's called the Payroll Protection Program. If you own a business or run a nonprofit, by tomorrow you should be able to start making contact with banks and credit unions. They'll get the details on how to be able to do that. Now, banks and credit unions don't have all the details yet either. This bill was just passed 6 days ago, and the Treasury's been trying to be able to get all the regs together. I've been back and forth on the phone a lot with Treasury the last several days trying to be able to work out details on this. But all this is going to go out to everybody by late tonight, early tomorrow, and they'll start opening it up, the portal, and so they can start doing these loans. Now, they're be called loans, but they're forgivable loans. Meaning by the end of June, if you kept your payroll, if you basically didn't lay people off, if you used that money to be able to pay your people, then all that loan will be forgiven. And that'll help stabilize a lot of our businesses around the country.
Can you explain for us, there is going to be some money coming to the states, I understand from that, to help us offset costs. Can you explain some of that to us?
Yep, that's correct. The state will also receive a portion. Every one of the states will receive a portion of money as well to be able to help on COVID-19 related costs. Now, it doesn't just go for anything. You can't use it to build roads and bridges. That'd be nice, but that's not what it is. It is if there's a specific expense that's related to COVID-19 that wasn't already budgeted, that becomes something that's reimbursable then through this federal fund. And that'll be spread out across the entire country. In some areas of the country will have more expenses than others, but everywhere in the country there'll be expenses as we're all trying to be able to take care of each other and we're all trying to be able to manage something. I think people forget sometimes. The word COVID-19 has only existed in the world for 2 months. That was finally named in February. This whole virus started moving through China in late November and December. The world didn't even know it existed outside of China until January, and then it started moving and spreading in a hurry. And it's only been 3 weeks that it's even been in Oklahoma at all. So this thing's moving really fast, and we're all trying to be able to catch up with it. Whether it's manufacturers trying to produce protective equipment for hospitals as fast as they can, folks trying to be able to build the test modules to be able to evaluate how you test for this, or for state and local governments trying to figure out how they're going to be able to help people having to not go into work. This is moving in a hurry.
Yeah, we've been joking around that this thing changes about every hour. So we got to readjust and reread and do our research to get that going. One last question, and then we'll let you get, because I know you got things to do. The vaccine that they've been working on and some of the other cures or medications that they're working on, do you have a report on that from a national level?
I do. I actually spoke to Dr. Fauci this morning on that exact issue. There's really 3 things we're tracking right now. More testing. There's at least 17 different types of tests that are currently being used and manufactured. In Oklahoma, over the next week, we'll see a huge increase in the number of testing capabilities, where if you go back just 3 days ago, they were saying, hey, unless you're high risk and showing clear symptoms, you can't get a test. Within the next few days, it's going to be, hey, if you're around somebody that has proved positive, or you're around somebody who shows symptoms, go get a test. There'll be a lot more people getting testing over the next couple of days in Oklahoma than there have been in the past. That's helpful to everybody. So testing's finally coming on board. The second part of this is the treatments. There's multiple different drugs that are being used on treatments. Obviously, it's a brand new virus. There have been no clinical trials. So we don't know what really works effectively, and doctors are experimenting with different treatments that are already out there for other viruses, and then passing that word around of what they're seeing. So getting a treatment is going to be really important, and there's at least 3 different vaccines that are currently in process right now in trials. There's multiple others. 2 of them are actually in human trials. One of them is really close at this point. Okay. Those vaccines will still take months and months and months. You got to get through all the human phase 1, 2, and 3 trials to show they're safe. We don't want to have a bunch of vaccines going out to folks that we don't know if they're safe or not. So we got to get through all the trials. Once it gets to the backside of all the trials, then we'll be able to release it. But the earliest that would be this winter. So we still got a ways to go to be able to get through all the human trials on this vaccine to be able to make sure it's safe and effective. And the first people that will get it will obviously be healthcare workers. Now, the good news on this is there are some folks that have actually had the virus that they're then immune after that. And so there's a whole different criteria going to be for those individuals. And there's also going to be a test in the days ahead that comes out where you can do a quick test to be able to figure out, did I have the virus and didn't even know it? I just thought I had allergies, or I thought I had a cold, because a lot of people, they get this virus and their body just fights it off. And they don't get the severe effects. If you're a diabetic, you've got heart issues, if you've got other issues in your health, this thing is really, really dangerous. And so we're trying to be able to help balance that out and try to also get testing to people so they can find out they don't need the vaccine because their body's already fought this up once and now they're immune to it because they know how to fight it off. So all of that's coming in the days ahead.
Okay. Well, Senator Langford, we sure do appreciate your work. We thank you for your work on the CARES Act and you guys getting on that quickly to help us out here. Both, I think our big concern is with the health of our people, number one, but number two, economically, we got to come out of this in the end. Any last closing thoughts or statements that you'd like to talk to people about?
I would tell folks don't lose hope, but we know what it's like in Oklahoma to be on during a storm and how we take care of each other in a storm. This is just a very different kind of storm for us. And we've got to be able to manage how we're taking care of people, staying in contact. I've talked to lots of churches that are delivering food out, that are helping people, calling people at home, making sure they're touching base. We got to make sure that we just keep doing those things. And we don't lose hope in the middle of all this and get frustrated. There's going to be a lot of frustrating days as we're trying to fight off the virus and stay away from each other, because we don't know who's carrying the virus and who's not. But the best thing we can do is all of us pretend we have it and to be able to keep our distance from somebody, because you may feel fine, but you're actually carrying the virus and transitioning that to other people. That's a real danger to other people. And when you go out, we have now learned this virus lives on surfaces for days. Well, that's a big deal, because literally somebody 2 days ago, when you go out to public places and touch something, that virus could be present on that surface. You pick it up and bring it home to your family, though you didn't even talk to anybody. It was somebody that had the virus touched that surface 2 days ago, then you touched it and you're bringing it back. So again, this whole issue about trying to stay separate from each other and try to avoid public places is a real deal. And it's the best way we've got to fight the virus until we can get a good treatment, until we can get a vaccine.
Okay. Well, thank you, Senator Langford. God bless and stay safe. Appreciate what you're doing. Okay. So let me switch gears for just a minute. I think what we want to do now is just kind of introduce everybody. We need to get Senator Langford in, because he's got a lot of things on his plate, and let him move on through. So to my left, we have Representative David Smith at the table with us. We have Dr. Kenyon Whittington here at Durant, and we have Representative J.J. Humphreys. What district are you, J.J.?
District 19.
District 19. And Representative Smith, what district?
District 18.
District 18. Okay. Online with us, we have Representative Justin Roberts, and you're District 21, correct, sir?
Yes, that is correct. District 21 would be Bryan County.
All right, thank you. And then we have Bryan County Commissioner Ron Boyer with us as well. And then we have Julie Montgomery, who is with the Bryan County Health Department. Thank all of you for coming. I think what we want to do is probably start with the census. And we wanted to talk with you just for a moment about the importance of the census. Every 10 years, we do a census, and there are definite benefits to knowing these demographics as they come through. But one of the biggest ones are those benefits that come through. And one of the things we've seen right now in this crisis is the importance of knowing how many people you have in your area and having those dollars flowing in for everybody. Just for example, with this disease, what we've seen is the need for better hospitals and more beds, more resources for those kinds of things, which these dollars go into. Every person on the census counts $1,600 a year. That's for 10 years. That's $16,000 that we either get or miss due to the census. And so we want to encourage you here to discuss the census and do it. And so what I thought we might do is kind of open it up as a roundtable and kind of introduce some folks to talk about what's going on with the census where they are, and discuss what's important there. Representative Humphreys, would you mind starting us off and talking about the census in your area and Atoka in your areas?
Absolutely. I've met twice on census meetings to talk about what the importance is. And so it's not just hospitals. Guys, this is going to be schools. It's going to be roads. It's going to be grants. So everything that we do as a government is tied to this thing. There's all kinds of other things that we look at. As me as a legislator, you're looking at spreading this out so that my area changes. So who you keep as a legislator is going to be very, very important. While David was talking, I was just multiplying for my district. We're talking about, it looks like $624 million.
You got
19. If you multiply 16,000 times 39,000, which is the amount of people that is in District 19 that I have, you're talking about over a 10-year period, $624 million. If my math skills are correct, you might want to double check me on that. I didn't do I made B's on math, so you check me, but it's very, very important. So it hits all aspects of life. So I encourage you. I'm going to do Facebook Live this afternoon or tomorrow, me filling mine out just to show people I'm going to get her done.
Good.
You know, I got this in the mail, and it just takes about 2 minutes to do. You can do it from your phone or your computer. You don't have to fill out a big form. Just go online. I think I did it maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and sends it right back off. And it is really important. It is how the government knows we're here and how to send resources to these small communities.
Thank you, Dr. Whittington. Representative Smith, would you like to address it?
Yes, I would actually. Some of our areas is hard to reach, so I ask everybody to get on their computers and do it as quickly as possible so you get in there on the census, because I mean, like Representative Humphrey says, this really helps our district tremendously when it comes to the federal dollars and just actually just being in there and hopefully not widen our district out too far, because a lot of people didn't get in there and put their census in there. Because the bigger our district is, the harder it is to get around, and we do that, but a lot of people need to get in there. There was some statistics where there was like 22% of the people lived in hard to reach areas, and the last census they had to go back after the census was over and get them back on the census. So I just implore you to get in there and fill out your census.
Yeah, good deal. Thank you, Representative. Representative Roberts, would you like to discuss the census a little bit?
Yeah, I'll just touch on it just for a second, because you know, cannot stress enough how important that is for the accounting of the population here, especially when it comes to federal funds. You know, our state's budget is roughly about $8 billion. And the other side of that, the feds match. So the more population we have, the more match of the Fed dollars that we could possibly get in. So if we're sitting on Facebook and or talking at the coffee shops and we're talking about the roads funding and how we have potholes on the roads, if you didn't fill out the census, technically you're the problem, part of that. So it's quick, easy. Help us fill it out. And let's get some funds in here that we deserve, because I can promise you right now, if you don't fill them out, somebody in California is going to end up getting that money, and it's deserved here in Oklahoma because we have the population for it.
Yeah, thank you, Representative. Ron, would you like to address it?
Yeah, I was just going to say, JJ gave you some numbers on his area, and in Bryan County, just doing some ballpark numbers of what our population is, it's about $768 million to the county. And during our last census in 2010, we basically, I think, totaled 51% of the people of the area went through the census and signed it, where you can see how much money was basically left on the table by doing that.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. I was looking at the numbers so far that we have right now on the census that have come in nationally. About 33% of the data has come in. People have responded to it. Right now at Oklahoma, we're sitting at about 29% of the population has filled out the census form. I was going to look at Congressional District 2. Right now, we're the lowest in the state at 22.8%. And then in my district, in District 6, Bryan County is at 20%. So we're more than 10 points down. Marshall County is at 6.3% have come in. Johnston County is at 17%. Toka County is at 22%. Cole's at 14%. And so I want to make sure that we emphasize that idea about the money and how much that we miss out if we don't fill in that census. And as Dr. Whittington said, it's a simple process. I will amend something that we have been talking about here earlier. They're actually encouraging you now to go in and fill out the census online. And so we're going to do another follow-up video. I think Justin's going to do one. We'll probably all do one. I know that we're going to do a follow-up Facebook Live where we can go in and help you with filling out that census online so that you don't have to do it. We're probably not going to have the door-to-door face-to-face interaction on that due to this crisis. And so we're going to need you to do that. If you do not have the capabilities to do it online, I would encourage you to reach out to the office of your legislator. Senate or House, and we will find ways to help you get online and fill that out. And we're looking at all the options that are on the table, maybe even possibly a remote site where you could go and do the census. But we also at this time want to be very cautious with what's going on with the virus and make sure we don't spread it due to the census. So thank you all for your input on that. And
David, I'd like to have one thing I'd like to intervene before we get out of here is that our services that people expect to have, the law enforcement, the Justice Department, the Health Department, all of these services are affected by this funds and whether or not we have adequate capability of putting resources in them to supply, them to do their job for the community they're serving. So almost all the public services that are out there are being affected by how this kind of funding that's coming in.
Okay, JJ.
The one thing that I want to stress to our listeners is right now, like in District 19, my numbers are similar to yours. We go from 22% to 14%. We're looking at a stimulus package coming from the government for coronavirus. Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to get 22% to 14% of what we should be getting. If we had done a proper census, we would be getting more like 50% more than what we're getting right now. So I want to encourage you, if you want to see where dollars count right now, it would be counting if we filled that. So please go fill out your census.
One thing I'll add to that JJ and Ron, that you struck a point on. I'm an ex-school teacher, and I don't think that you ever get rid of your teaching thoughts and ways. And so one of the important things to me is education in schools. If what we want are our schools to have more funding, the census is the key to that. If you want better roads, the census is the key to that. And especially right now with the hospitals, if you want more money coming into your hospitals, those are kind of the keys to that. So that's why we're pushing that. And we would just encourage you to go fill out that census. If you have any questions, feel free, please, to reach out to your legislators. I'm District 6, but you've got a whole host of representatives here in the area, and you can go to oksenate.gov or okhouse.gov, and you can find your representative, and we will help you figure out how to get the census done and fill those kinds of things out. It's that important. We want to help you one-on-one. So with that, let me kind of switch gears and let's start talking about kind of the pandemic that we're in. And I want to stress that this is serious. This virus is a big deal. We also want to stress the hope that there is a future coming where we're going to be through this and over this. We just have to kind of cooperate together and work together to make sure that we're all taken care of. And let me say first off, how proud I am what I've seen all around the state, but especially here. I have watched people who are taking meals, who are helping people in need. Their District 6 has stepped up in a big way, and it makes me very proud. I love you guys because that's the kind of people we are, is that we help in these kind of moments. So thank you for being what you are. But we also want to inform and make sure everybody understands what's going on, what the virus is. We've had a state of emergency declared since January 31st from the Federal Department of Health, the Health and Human Services. And then in March, the Oklahoma governor declared the same declaration of emergency. We've got several executive orders that have come up, and we can discuss those as we go. But we want to get an understanding of what it is first and kind of on the medical side. And so I have asked Dr. Whittington to come in to give us some medical expertise on that. And he was gracious. Dr. Whittington is a very busy man, but a man that I trust and does a great job. And my wife can vouch for that. And so we thank you for coming, Dr. Whittington, and you have the floor, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be here. You know, this is something pretty new for the U.S., Oklahoma, and Southern Oklahoma for sure, is that we've got a new virus that no one's really immune to, and the way it's affecting people is not something we've seen. And I'm just gonna give you a little quick background info on the virus. You know, one of the problems with this virus is the incubation period can be up to 14 days or maybe even longer. So sick people can get out and move around for a while. And
calendar reminder: conference call with Congressman Bullard and
the effects generally are more on the older folks and people at risk. They're at a lot greater risk than young folks. It can affect young folks, but the older folks with lung problems especially. One of the big questions we get, who should get tested? Well, unfortunately, we just can't test everybody because we don't have enough tests and we don't have enough facilities to run the test. So they've had to be rationed to people that it's going to change something we do. And there's really about 3 or 4 tiers. You test healthcare professionals first. The reason for this is because if they're all sick and put on a quarantine for 14 days or they're suspected to be exposed and they're on quarantine for 14 days, you won't have any hospitals running or nurses or doctors. So they're kind of placed at the top, or ambulance, EMS, fire departments, police even. And then you look and see if the person's sick and needs to be hospitalized, of course they need a test. If someone comes in and they're not sick, they're probably not going to be tested right now and sent home. And if they're just a little bit sick, not a problem, and they're low risk, they'll be sent home as well. Now, these changes are in flux really quickly. We expect in the next week or two to have what we call point of care services, point of care tests. Basically, within 45 minutes, 15 to 45 minutes, we can know if someone's sick or not sick or infectious, and let them go and kind of carry on with life. The treatment right now, treatment's essentially supportive. There's some medications out there. They've shown some decrease in the length of problems in some people, but essentially it's supportive. And the vast majority of patients aren't going to get that sick. But unfortunately, some folks get overwhelmed rather quickly. And it's generally people with risk factors and older, but that's not always the case. We do know if you have lung problems and you're older, this can be an overwhelming very quickly. What are the most important things to do? Stay at home. Don't get out and about. You don't want to become infected and you don't want to infect anybody else. Wash your hands if you do have to get out and about. Remember, it's more about protecting your neighbors than yourself. The last thing you want to do is make some older folks sick that end up in the hospital, and it'd be your fault. You just want to do that. I'm driving around Durant, looking around, and I saw lots of people at the park doing all kinds of things. That is just not a smart thing to do. It's not a smart thing to do. Great. These young folks probably are not going to get very ill, but if they do get a little bit of this virus and they visit their grandparents, it could be a really poor outcome. So what's the best thing to do? Stay away from folks, take a break. Wash your hands, social distancing. If you are sick or think you're sick, and call your provider. We got great nurse practitioners, PAs, doctors that you can call the emergency department. They'll give you some guidance what you need to do. We're in our practices, all the practices in Durant have limited the patients. We don't want to see the refill blood pressure medicines. Call us, we'll refill it. Everybody's suspended basically those regular visits, and we can do it over the phone. Get your blood pressure medicine, your cholesterol medicine, your birth control. We're not going to make you come in for that. We'll take care of that over the phone. They've relaxed a lot of the HIPAA regulations, so I can even take messages over Facebook without breaking the law right now, and we can do visits if we need to talk to someone on FaceTime where we couldn't do that a month ago. So to limit that contact. Which we like to do. It really helps. We don't want somebody coming to our office who's sick, and we don't want somebody welcome to our office and getting sick. What's the hospital doing in Durant? Well, the first thing the hospital did is they shut down the services of elective surgeries to save on supplies for personal protection equipment and making sure the hospital wasn't full with the elective procedures and things of that nature. The second thing they did is quickly set up units for people that were sick that could be isolated. Then training staff in critical care areas that generally don't work in critical care areas in case there is a big wave of sick patients. Generally a patient comes to the hospital, one nurse will take care of 3 or 4 patients. If they're a critical care patient, a ventilator sick, you'll have 3 or 4 people taking care of one patient. So really quickly you run out of resources
You got me.
to care of patients. So one of the most important thing is we know people are going to get sick. we don't want them all getting sick at the same time and overwhelming the healthcare in the communities all over. There are only so many physicians, nurses, doctors, EMTs, ventilators. If everybody gets sick at once, that's when we're going to have the problem of having to make decisions on who gets treatment and not.
You've got mail.
We will.
You've got mail.
Let's see, personal protection equipment. The supply lines are running up real quick, but there's still somewhat of a shortage of it. We expect the N95 mask and the hoods and all that to come online in a week or 2 or 3, we hope. But right now, they're being gone through pretty quickly, really quickly, actually. That's really kind of all I got. The biggest thing is stay at home, wash your hands if you get sick, call your provider, get guidance from them, go to the CDC's website. They've got great information on it, and it literally is changing daily. They'll tell you, they've got a risk assessment. You can type in what's going on with you, and they'll tell you, it'll say you need to see your provider, stay at home, or whatever. So that's what I would tell everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Whittington. Julie, would you like to explain kind of what's going on from the Bryan County side of it, and maybe discuss with us some of those similar points and draw your own conclusions on that?
Yes, sir. Well, I absolutely agree in terms of checking in with the CDC and practicing that safe social distancing as well as good hand hygiene, limiting your going out into the public and the number of people that you're taking to grocery stores and into those essential facilities. That's just critical in kind of slowing and controlling the spread of this illness in the community. And we're really excited to hear about the rapid testing. It's going to give us a great idea about the prevalence of COVID in the state. And that's, part of good decision making is understanding what you're truly dealing with. And so the governor expanding the testing criteria yesterday was really where we're excited to be. We are hosting a drive-through event in Bryan County tomorrow, and hoping to have people come through who are symptomatic, and they'll stay in their cars, won't leave their car. We'll be able to do a swab test and send those off to the OSU laboratory. That coming online has expanded our ability greatly by 10,000 and test kits available to be able to do more. So that's going on across the state in 9 different sites, even today and tomorrow. And I think that's the right step for us in being a responsive public health system.
Okay. JJ, you got a question?
Hey, Julie,
Yes.
I just want to tell you thank you for all your help that you help us with. Hey, this public testing, do they need to go, when you say that you're looking for people who are symptomatic, do they need to have a doctor's statement? Because I kind of see that you may have a large crowd, and a lot of them won't be symptomatic. And are you going to kind of weed them out there, or are you requiring a doctor's slip to say that they need to test?
Well, what we had originally done, JJ, was to have a doctor's referral. Right now, we are expanding the criteria because that's the wishes of our governor, so that we understand that prevalence and how we're going to have to kind of control this, because we still have limited testing supplies. So tomorrow's drive-through, I only have 100 test kits. We still have to ask people about their symptoms. If they don't have symptoms, then they're not going to get they won't be tested tomorrow. If they want to do curbside testing, so right now in my 9 counties that I cover, I have Pittsburgh County. It is currently doing curbside testing, and we do that by appointment. So they call, they speak with a healthcare provider, we talk to them about their symptoms that they're experiencing, and then we can set an appointment with them based upon those symptoms. We are looking to expand that in every county. Rapidly. Bryan County will move to curbside county or curbside services on Monday. If we continue to have supplies, we're requesting more kits, more PPE from the state office for McCurtain and LaFleur. And then we will eventually be in every county. So Atoka, Cole, Choctaw, Pushmataha, Latimer will all have the ability to test individuals that are showing symptoms.
So we need to tell our constituents, just contact your local office.
Yes, I'm just going to be really honest. I'll shoot from the hip on this a little bit, but they will be frustrated with this. If they were to call tomorrow, I only have a limited number of kits. We have to get those resources in, and we'll be able to do more and more testing.
Okay. Julie, I've got a question on that. Where is the curbside going to be, the drive-through testing?
Now tomorrow in Bryan County, we are working with James Dalton and the county emergency management, as well as Choctaw Nation, our county commissioners and other city partners. We will be at the parking garage of the Choctaw Nation. As you know, the casinos are closed, and Chief Batten has allowed us to actually set up in the lower level. They can come in on 9th Street, and James Dalton, a fantastic emergency manager, has set up kind of signs for everybody. Those will be set up tomorrow to show you how to get in, and they can come there. We'll start at 8:30, and we'll go until we run out of supplies or it's 2 o'clock. Okay. And then Monday, if I have supplies left over from the drive-through, we will have curbside testing available through appointment only at the Bryan County Health Department, and that is 1524 Chuckwa Drive, but they need to call first. We're really trying to limit our exposure to the virus, and we want to make sure that we can protect our healthcare providers. And so if they call, we can set them an appointment and assure their safety as well.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. Dr. Whittington, one question for you. Can you explain how this is different from the flu? Because a lot of people get too confused. How is this different from the flu?
So this is different from the flu. One reason is it lives a little bit longer outside. It really affects the lungs. And it affects them quickly, and they get a secondary pneumonia, which everybody knows if you can't breathe, you don't live very long. And it seems to be a much more severe illness when you get it, okay, if it's going to affect the lungs. It seems to last a little bit longer than the flu, and it's the older you are, the more it affects you. Young kids, it doesn't seem to make very sick at all. But when you become older, these people are getting down for 10, 14 days, where most people have the flu, they're sick for 5 to 6 days and they're good. Second thing is we don't have a medicine like Tamiflu or anything that limits it, really. I want to mention something about testing. The hospital does testing. If you come to the emergency department and you've been exposed or you meet the criteria, you're actually sent over to a clinic. That's all they do is COVID testing, okay? I want to urge people not to go get tested just to see. If you're not sick, don't. They've increased the number of tests can be done. OSU has a lab, but they can do less than 3,000 tests per day.
But at the hospital, aren't y'all kind of going through that criteria that if it's somebody probably in the 30 range that doesn't have severe symptoms, they're not using a test on those people?
Yeah, they're using the CDC's criteria, and that's what all healthcare professionals are supposed to do. There is no way we can test everybody right now. We will run out of tests in a matter of hours, and then not be able to test anyone, the sick people and the not sick people. So that's the way people are being tested is set up as a very hard stop. Just people want to be tested to see if they've got a problem and they have no symptoms. You're using resources up for people that it can make a difference for.
You would still recommend those people go back and get quarantined, that they would quarantine, and their spouse probably needs to be quarantined?
Absolutely. If you can get on the CDC site, it'll tell you exactly what to do, and it's changed significantly. Now, the great thing is, in about a week, we plan on having point of care tests, so we can relax who gets tested and doesn't, because we can do it right then, and I think there's 500,000 of them right now being shipped out. and probably another 500,000 real quickly, so we can do this really quickly, but we don't have them yet. Basically, if you're not sick and you think you may have been exposed to somebody, you want to quarantine at home. Okay. If you've not been exposed and you're not sick, you don't need a test. Okay. If you're older and you're sick, you've got a fever and you meet the criteria, you need to come to the hospital if you're having any problems with shortness of breath, things of that nature. Don't sit and see if it'll get better if you're at high risk. And on the CDC side, they've got a link. You can click your risk in it and it'll tell you pretty much what you need to do.
Okay. One question from me for you, Dr. Whittington. If you are younger and got tested, what would they have you do? What would the doctor have you do, even if you tested positive?
They'd send you home. If you're not sick or have exhibiting significant symptoms, we're going to send you home. We're going to check in on you, and we're going to tell you to quarantine. That's what we're going to do.
So what would be the criteria for you to need to go to the hospital?
The biggest one is shortness of breath. Shortness of breath, difficulty breathing. That's the biggest one. This is what gets people with this virus is their lungs quit working well. They become hypoxic. They get a pneumonia on top of it, and then they succumb to the pneumonia quickly.
Okay.
So as long as people are breathing well and doing okay, we're not too awful worried about it.
Okay. Thank you for that very much, guys. We appreciate that, and we may come back to you with some questions here in just a minute. Let's go online. Representative Roberts, would you mind kind of talking about what's going on in Bryan County and also legislatively, maybe talk a little bit about the budget? You're in on those discussions pretty in depth. So you have the floor, sir.
Oh, absolutely. Currently right now, you're going to probably start seeing a lot of press releases coming out. The legislatures, House and Senate, will be going back into session Monday morning about 8 o'clock. The first act we will be dealing with is the governor has to come out with an emergency, what is called the Emergency Catastrophic Health Emergency. We're going to take that up first. What that will do will give the governor powers to be able to move things faster without the legislative approval. So that way, funds that come in, he can direct them to hot zones. He can move National Guard, so that way we can set up hospitals in case something does happen. After that, we will start rolling into the budget issues. And what we're seeing with the economy dropping down in the price per barrel, as you see, we're starting to see a revenue shortfalls. And what that means is the budget that we had, the revenues are not coming in to match that. So what we've done is, or what we will be doing is going in and backfilling those and setting up, taking money out of some of our savings. Now, with that being said, the legislative body over the last couple of years have been extremely smart, and we have put money back in our savings accounts, not just in the rainy day fund, but also in our revenue stabilization funds. So we have the money to get us through about this year to backfill and to keep the budget whole, so that way the state of Oklahoma can operate at 100% efficiency. So that way our education system comes back in, they've got the money to deal with, our healthcare has the money that they have to deal with, the roads will be funded, and then come back into next session and still have money left over in our savings accounts. So those will be the first two things that we take up Monday and Tuesday. We've taken some extreme cautions because of the amount of positive cases in Oklahoma County, that we're only going to be limiting legislators in the House chamber 10 at a time, voting in limited staff, so that way everybody stays home. And just, I mean, so everybody knows this is a serious situation, and the state of Oklahoma is taking this extremely seriously. And especially, down here, I've been extremely proud of our local leaders. Their commissioners have met, our healthcare authorities have met. They have done an amazing job. But me personally, I want to extend an extreme thank you to our healthcare workers, our healthcare providers, our first responders, our EMS, fire, police, and especially our police right now. Those guys, people cooped up at home. We've had issues, and there is zero reasons for any police officers to be having to come to your house for you getting into an argument or anything else. So let's limit that. That PPE gear needs to be going to the hospitals and to our EMS responders, not because some altercation at the house and stuff. So let's be safe. Let's keep our distances. It's a serious situation that we will come out of. And, you know, that's it's kind of where we're at here at the state level. And we will start seeing things. If you're seeing things on Facebook or out there, you hear something, feel free to contact us. We have the links, you know, covavirus.health.ok.gov is a website that has links on it that you can go everywhere and actually get the information that is needed out there. I have followed Facebook and had to defuse a whole lot of stuff that's coming out, and this is a fluid situation. It changes by the hour. But we want the public to have the right information that's out there. So that way we're not being distracted by, you know, some of the April Fool's jokes and stuff like that. So one issue I do want to tackle real quick while I do have the floor is the State Department of Education has taken some steps. I've had several emails and several calls on 8th grade reading test and the driver's license. The State Department has waived all those tests, so you will be able to get your driver's license in the future, 8th graders. So, and that's extremely important, especially for, you know, myself and Commissioner Ron Boyers and the rest of our county commissioners, Tony and Jay, you know, on the transportation funding. With people not driving as much, you know, we're starting to see a dip in transportation funds. So give us a little bit of leeway and we'll be back rolling as soon as this thing passes.
Okay. Thank you, Dustin. Very, very good. Representative David Smith, would you kind of discuss what's going on around Cole County up in your district in that area? Kind of talk about what's happening around your area.
Yeah, I'd love to. First off, I'd just like to say how proud I am of District 18 for stepping up at this time. We've been contacting our rural fire departments, our chiefs of police, the sheriff's departments, and we're trying to get them some PPE equipment up there. We couldn't find any, so we actually went online and had to order from Amazon, and we've distributed it to some of the first responders. We've been helping the elderly deliver groceries for them. There's no personal contact. We've just been dropping groceries off at their door, and then we'll leave and they'll pick them up. We have actually talked to some of the farmers and ranchers in the area because there's a lot of people out of work over this, and they're willing to put them fixing fences and just something to keep the district going for them to keep groceries on their table. And I mean, a lot of it is stuff that we're not really used to, like not having contact with the elderly right now is just make sure that you call the elderly and let them know that they're in your thoughts, but do keep your distance from them because we can't afford to lose any elderly in this. And I'd hate to lose one person. We've had 2 cases in our district, and that was at Pittsburgh County. And so far, they're on the mend, it seems like. They've been sent home. But I got Cole County, I got part of Pittsburgh County, part of McIntosh County, and part of Hughes County. And that's the only 2 cases in our district that we know of at this time. So, I mean, just practice your safety issues. And if you need anything, get a hold of my office, or we will get what we need to the people that need it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Representative Humphreys, would you touch on your area? You've got part of Atoka County, but you've also got Choctaw County and some others out towards Push, I believe.
I've got all of Atoka, or half of Atoka, all of Push, all of Choctaw, half of Bryan County. They've told me to not talk forever, so I got a lot, and I'm going to shove it into a little space. So one of the biggest things right now has been schools that I'm being contacted. We're working with all our schools to use what we have in each community. So we're developing a plan for each community. Some of our communities don't have internet service like others. So we're developing that plan. We do packets. We'll do teleconferencing, Zoom conferencing. So everything that's available out there, we're doing to make sure that our students get to maintain what they've learned. This shouldn't be a gotcha thing. So we're not going to take away a score from a student. This is to help them maintain and also maybe to lift their grade up a little bit. So I would encourage you, get on Facebook, get on that website for your school, go local schools. Lots of questions about graduations. All the schools have assured me they're going to look at doing a real formal graduation. And again, we just got to look at dates and times, and nobody that's up for grabs right now. So I'll just encourage you stay in contact. Big issue in District 19 was an election at Hugo because it involved taxes. We don't collect these taxes. It puts our county government in really bad shape. The tax commission was actually saying, we think you might have to go ahead with this. We went ahead and decided, because most of the workers for an election are over that 65 age. And so we just didn't feel like that was safe. And so we called that off. We're going to be looking at these government funds coming in to see if that will backfill our county. So that's a big issue. I'll be working with the county on that. Another big issue is farm and ranch. All the farmers and ranchers, I got a lot of area. I want to give you a website, sba.gov, sba.gov. You can go on there. Like Senator Langford said, we don't have all the details yet, but you can go on there. I've already went on there. Guys, I'm going to be making a few series of videos and getting that out. I'm going to call it, Links for Dummies, and I'm going to get on there and show you if I can do it. Anybody, I guarantee you, anybody in the world can do it. So we're going to work on that. I put an article out for all the papers that have every link for small businesses, farm and ranch. I talked to the Farm and Ranch Services, FSA. Guys, if you're having problems and you can't make your loan, you call them. They're going to work with you. Also, there may be disaster relief coming. We don't know that for sure yet, but we're working on that. So a lot of things that try to pack into these. The last thing I want to talk about is that I've heard that on Facebook, there's something out saying the governor's going to make all the students take their entire year over again. We have not received anything official on that. So, I love Facebook. It's great that we got this social and in a time when we need it, but not everything on there is true. So let's go with factual information. Last thing I will say is, man, even though this is bad, we are learning so many things. It's going to change how we're doing business. I was listening to the doctor a while ago. I suspect when all this is done, they're going to operate more with things. It's going to improve healthcare. So while this is bad at the time, I think at the end, there's going to be a lot of things. This is a good test run for what we might need in the future. So I would say stay positive, stay safe.
Okay. Thank you, Representative Roberts. Commissioner Boyer, you have the floor, sir, to talk about what's going on with the commissioner side of things.
Let's see if there we go. All right, microphone's off now. The county, there's not a lot to add. The representatives here have given a pretty good oversight of what they're trying to do. The legislators are trying to help us locally. I want to say that the buildings at for the county facilities for the 8 different agencies, they're all basically locked down. The employees are inside. They're doing their job, but we have prohibited the public to enter the buildings just for safety reasons. But they are reachable by phone. So should you have a question that you need answered or something, they can do it. And I've actually seen where they pass envelopes through the door, whether that's supposed to happen or not. You can get most of the information you need that way. The roads out there are a mess because of our weather, but the road crews in all 3 districts are working hard to try to create, repair those as fast as they can. So be patient with them because they're also enjoying some of the stress of this virus going around. So everybody's trying to do their job the best way they know how. Basically, I don't have the only thing I can offer, and I would like to encourage people, is that the best defense we have in rural Oklahoma is stay home. This disease is transmitted person to person or proximity of a person to a person. If you stay home, most of us have a little bit of land, at least a half acre or so, maybe around our house when we're in the rural area. So they're not going to be able to get to you. The nice thing too is being in rural America, we can go still out on the front porch without being, encroaching in other people's areas. So just stay home. Don't go shopping unless you have to go shopping. One thing our neighborhood has tried and it's working is one person out of that neighborhood would take the shopping order for everybody. They would go out. So you're limiting the exposure and the number of people that might be in that store. So there's creative ways to doing it. And the last thing that we all have to remember is your hands at this point could be also your enemies. Anything they touch can get to you. Keep your hands away from your face. I think someone told me, pretend your hands are always on fire, so you wouldn't touch your face if your hands are on fire. So just keep your hands down, keep them washed, keep them, anytime you touch anything, doorknobs or steering wheel of your truck or whatever you're doing, all of that is got potential of having some kind of a virus attached. So clean. When you go home, you don't want to take it home with you. And a lot of us have relatives or your wife. In my case, we have family members that are compromised immune systems that would definitely be a bad thing to bring home with us. So we have to be thinking of other people, whether we think we'll get in trouble or not. People around us could be affected by our actions. And all I can say is praying for everybody. God's willing, we'll get through this. We'll come out the other end of it, and hopefully we'll learn from it.
Okay. Thank you, Ron. Ron, one thing real quick. Would you give them an email contact where they could contact you if they've got questions about county issues?
Sure. My email is rboyer, B as in Boyle, Y-E-R, at bryancountyok.us.
Okay. Thank you. Julie?
And I was going to say the main number into now, we've got a tree system on our phones. You can call the 580-924-2201. And from there, it will branch you out into all the other departments. So you don't have to go try to find all the other phone numbers.
Okay. Thank you. Julie, would you provide an email and possibly a number that people could reach if they need to reach the health department?
Yes. You are welcome to email me anytime at JULIM as in Montgomery at health.ok.gov. And that's Julie M at health.ok.gov. And you're welcome to call. You can call me directly at 580-924-4299. And if you'll just listen to the message and dial extension 123, that's my direct extension.
Okay, thank you. Dustin, would you provide your email and maybe an office number if you've got it there in front of you so that people could reach out to you if they've got questions?
Yes, absolutely. My email, if you want to reach out to us there, is dustin.roberts@okhouse.gov. And that's about the best way to get a hold of us. We've limited staff at the Capitol. So my assistant, she's working from home right now. But if you'd like to give us a call, that number is 1-405-557-7366.
Good deal. Okay, thank you.
Facebook's another good way.
Okay, thank you, Dustin. Representative Humphreys, would you give them an email and maybe a phone number? And we'll get to that in just a second.
Okay. Yes, my phone number. I'm going to give y'all my cell phone number because I like to take most of my stuff. 580-239-0470. 580-239-0470. Email Justin, JUSTIN .Humphrey, HUMPHREY @okhouse.gov.
All right. So if you heard it first here, if you need a loan, call that phone number right there. Representative Smith, can you give us the contact point?
Yes, my email is david.smith@okhouse.gov. And like Representative Humphrey, I'm giving my cell phone number. It's 918-429-5334 because I like personal contact.
Good deal. And I'll give you mine. Mine is david.bullard@oksenate.gov. And my cell phone number is 580-916-5290. And feel free to give me a call. If you need to reach out and don't get me by my cell phone, you can call my office at 405-521-5586. And you will reach a fantastic lady named Anita, who is my EA. And she can steer you a lot of times to the right place if you can't get a hold of me right then. And so very good. We have a few questions that we're going to switch gears very quickly. We've only got about 10 minutes left. Representative Humphreys, would you read the question and then give them an answer?
I'm a Choctaw tribal member. There's a question on census asking if a tribal member, do I have to fill that out and how? And the answer is yes. Please fill out the section out. It helps to qualify more federal grants, helps other activities that benefit not only the Choctaw Nation, but also local communities. It's important that you fill it out properly, fill out Choctaw Nation in the field. Be sure to fill out not just Choctaw to make sure that you are counted. By the way, the Choctaw Nation has been doing a phenomenal job, and they have. I will promise you they have been one of the main people. And one of the reasons was on the last census, because we did not fill out that correctly on the Choctaw Nation. We lost a lot of money, and we have promise zones and all kinds of things that we get due to that. So please, if you are Choctaw, make sure you fill that out properly and check the place where it says Choctaw Nation. Don't just put Choctaw, put Choctaw Nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Humphrey. Representative Roberts, I believe you've got a question that I sent you. Would you read the question to them and then give me an answer?
Absolutely. Yeah, we had a question come in. Will retirees who do not normally file tax returns have to file anything with the IRS to receive their stimulus assistance? That is the $1,200 that individuals under the $75,000 will be getting. That's the stimulus assistance. The good news is these retirees will automatically qualify for the stimulus assistance with no forms required to be submitted. They will automatically get the $1,200 as long as they're earning less than $75,000 per year. And then if they have anybody, a dependent, $500 or less, or $500, they will get as long as that dependent's under 17. The IRS automatically has their social security number and everything else, so they're in the system. So their forms or their finances will just come on through to them.
Okay. Thank you very much. We had one question come in that was asking about the status of our pro-life bills. I think we had several pro-life bills running through the House and the Senate. Those bills are all still intact. If they passed and made the committee deadlines, all those bills are still intact and running through. As you know, the governor's executive order included the shutdown of some of abortion clinics. And so there is a lawsuit going on with that, in which there are several of us who are filing amicus curiae briefs to decide that those clinics need to be shut down in this time as elective surgeries. I believe for now that's all the time we've got. I wanted to sit down and say thank you to everybody who showed up. Are there any questions from any of the panelists that wanted to put something else out there before we wrap up?
I'd like to add, David, real quick, that as Senator Langford said, treat everybody just like you have the virus right now. So don't, do harm by going out and touching people and hugging up on people. Keep your distance right now. Just act like you have it.
Okay, thank you. One more, Representative Smith.
I'd just like to thank the schools for stepping up, making sure at this time that the kids are getting to eat their lunches like normal. And I mean, I've been to a few of them trying to help them, but they've got that all covered. So I was just like a third wheel there. The schools are really on top of that, and I'm proud of them.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. Let me say a very special thank you to schools. You have stepped up because most of the time you are the only meal they get. And a lot of y'all saw that right off the bat and knew that. Of course, y'all have a heart for kids anyways. I've worked around too many of you. But thank you to all of our schools who have stepped up to this point. And thank you to our schools who are stepping up in the future. And y'all are doing a great job of witnessing and watching what you're doing. You're making sure kids are going to get an education. You're making sure that our kids are going to get a good education, even though we're in the midst of crisis. So with that, we're going to wrap up and kind of move away. We want to thank you for participating with us and talking with us about these kinds of things. Thank you for tuning in. We are in the middle of something that's pretty unprecedented. We've never seen anything quite like this in our lifetime, in our generation. And so special times call for special people. But here's what I know. The people of America are better suited than anybody else in the nation to handle this crisis. And the people of Oklahoma are a notch above that in my book. And so we're very thankful for the people who have stepped up. We're very thankful for what people are doing. I wanted to remind you of something. John F. Kennedy once said that we are not here to ban the darkness, but we are here to light a candle that will throw out the darkness for a safe and sure future. And that's where we step in. We don't lose hope, and we continue to move forward together. Watch out for the most vulnerable amongst you, and make sure that you're protecting and checking in on people regularly, as you have been doing up to this point. And as those have said previously to me, as Dr. Whittington and several others have said, live as though you have it so that others won't get it. That's one of the main things that we have to do. And I believe honestly, it will work through this in a do unto others fashion. Then we will be moving out of this in the next few short weeks if we'll do it right. And let me remind you, Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." That describes us and this community to a T right there. And so we thank you very much. Let us bow very quickly and let's say a prayer over our people so that we have the Lord's guidance. Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus. And Father, we thank you so much for the way that you are working with us in this time of crisis. And Father, we pray for your peace, but we also pray for your wisdom to understand how to treat others around us and to protect them. Father, we pray for those healthcare workers who right now are the great heroes of this state. And Father, we pray a special prayer, a hedge of protection around our healthcare workers. Father, for our police and first responders, God, that you protect them in the name of Jesus. And Father, we pray for our state as we maneuver through these situations, Father, that we keep things in a godly fashion, in your fashion, but we also keep things according to the Constitution and according to what needs to be done in a necessary right. Father, we also pray for our nation. We pray for our leaders as Senator Langford. And Father, I pray for a hedge of protection over him, Congressman Mullins, Senator Inhofe, those that are leaders from our state. But we also pray for a hedge of protection around President Trump and those leaders who are doing such a phenomenal job of guiding us through this crisis. And so we just thank you for the way that you work with us. And Father, out of this crisis, I pray you bring greatness. And we ask all of this in the name of Jesus. Thank you all for coming here. Thank you all for participating. And God bless you. Have a good evening.